Welcome to Transforming with Us,
where we talk about
all things trans and queer.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Transforming with Us. Today I really wanted to bring up a topic that you haven't heard a lot about. We're all talking about Ukraine and the sad war that's going on over there and how it's really affecting the entire world at this point. Today, while I had some time at work, I stopped for a moment and thought about how many of those people over there are actually in the LGBTQ community, let alone trans, and what is being done to keep them safe. With over there, it's a lot less accepted than it is here in the United States, and we all know that we're fighting that battle every day as well. But it's crazy to think about. There's a trans woman named Valeria, and she's trapped. She's stuck in a basement because her documents don't match her name, and she can't cross a border because it lists her as male, and all men right now are expected to stay and fight. And it really makes you stop to think about where else, not just here, but where else in the world can we try to help be a voice for and make changes happen.
I couldn't agree more with that. And it's sad to hear this. I remember you were telling me about this earlier, and my heart breaks out to everybody who's struggling with this because, the only thing I really know right now is that LGBTQ people are really scared of being put on Putin's kill list, and many are saying to fight anyways, even though that happens. And the thing is that Putin actually has a kill list of people who are LGBT.
Yeah, it's not really, Russia really does not like the community very much. You don't talk a whole lot about it over there, especially if you're part of it. You want to be as stealth as possible. And that's what a lot of the trans people that I was reading about today, that's one of their biggest fears about even trying to flee the country right now, is because they don't have access to the hormones like we do. It's much harder to get treatment over there, and so they don't blend in with the crowd, is what Valeria said in one of her statements. There's no way that she would be able to try and just sneak by. You can tell that she's trans, and it's what keeps her so scared. And Ukraine legalized gay sex back in 1991, and that was the year that it became independent. And so everybody loved about how much they had more freedom there being part of the community versus Russia. And now they're going through this all over again, going from a safe place to now not even knowing where they're going to end up or if they're going to survive.
Yeah, that's extremely true. And there's this person, Jules Sirius, which is a volunteer coordinator of Kiwi Pride. The quote that really stood out to me that kind of broke my heart a little bit. It says, "It's very important for all Ukrainians, if we still are Ukraine, after this moment, I hope that our people will see us equal. That is why we fight. That is why we will always fight, and we are still fighting." And a lot of LGBTQ people have actually now joined the army to help because they don't want, because Putin thinks of himself as a warrior and traditional family values, and that's why he kills plenty of LGBT people in his own country.
Yeah, that just hit me hard too. And there's no data to really say how much of Ukraine's population is in the LGBTQ community, because it's so hard. Like they're not able to be as open about it, especially for trans people. It's a very long process to change your name or your gender marker. And so you don't even know how many of us even exist over there. What I do want to say is that if anybody is overseas and happens to be listening to this podcast, there's a created fund for the LGBT to help the LGBTQ people of Ukraine that are stranded, as far as helping get them out of the country and maybe finding them asylum, or even a shelter to stay in where they're safe and accepted. And we'll include the link in the comments for this. But so far, they've been able to get 700 people out of Ukraine, and many of those were part of the community. So it shows that this fund is really helping. I mean, I know right now they've definitely been overfunded, but it's not gonna not help at this point. They need everything that they can get.
Yeah, and I'm actually a big avid runner lately. So I've been doing what's called the Conquer virtual challenges. And it's a certain amount of running. And this is the first time that I think they're doing just a special one. It's called Stand with Ukraine. I'll also add that in the links. It's so like I said, I'm a runner. So you run like 36 miles. And you pick your own time frame, of course, any physical activity. So it could be biking, it could even be exercising, and the littlest donation of $20. And it goes literally to helping like all the foundations that stand with Ukraine. They're helping with people get food. They're helping people get, medical treatment. All that money is going there. So far, they've donated about $191,200 $191,000 and 220. It's a lot of money. It's almost a lot of money. Never almost 200,000. I can't do numbers, but it's almost 200,000. So and it's only been open for 72 hours. So I did join that. You could, like I said, you can start with a $20 donation. You can run, and you get like really neat things. You get like virtual postcards to see what Ukraine looks like. I just got my first one, and it's really, really pretty. So it's really nice to be able to know that I can help in any way possible.
Right. I was able to read a little bit today too. And Germany, as of right now too, they formed an alliance for queer emergency aid for Ukraine as far as the LGBTQ community goes. So far, they've been in contact with 40 trans women and non-binary people in need of evacuation, and are going to be working on helping get them out of Ukraine and into Germany. So there's other safe places that you can get to if you can get out. It just breaks my heart that so many of them feel they're. I read a story about an 18-year-old non-binary resident named Nick who's hiding and fleeing right now because he's 18, and if he tries to leave the country, they're going to put a gun in his hand and tell him that he has to go out there and fight, and he doesn't want to fight. And it's just I not only pray for the whole country, but I pray for the small part of it that is part of the community, because it's really sad.
And if people don't know this, is I think there's a U.S. embassy in Ukraine, and they're actually fighting. So the people from the U.S. embassy are actually joining the fight against Russia. I know that Biden did do something. He banned imports of Russian oils and gases and coal. So if you see the prices skyrocket, that is Putin's fault. So sorry about that.
The crazy part about that is we actually only get like 3% of our oil and gases from them, but it's just the chain, or the domino effect, I should say, of just like all the countries, because everybody's cutting Russia off. I mean, McDonald's lately announced that they will not be furthering their businesses in Russia. You've got Amazon, Apple, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Delta. Everybody's pulling out, and I feel for the people of Russia, because I don't think that they wanted to be in this situation. I hate to see them have to go through it. I've seen plenty of news clips where I see 80-year-old grandmas being dragged across the street by police because they're protesting their own war.
Yeah.
And it's just, my heart goes out to everybody over there, especially those in the LGBTQ community. Because if found by Russians, who knows what could happen to them with the way that Russia views the community. And nobody, it just breaks my heart to even think about somebody having to endure that.
And the funny part is I did watch a TikTok about this Russian guy. He was on the phone with his mom, and a Ukraine woman was helping him talk to his mom. He's like, I don't know why we're here. He's like, they're taking care of me. They're feeding me. He's like, I don't want to do this. And then a young Russian soldier, even before he died, said, Mom, I don't know who to shoot. They all look like us, and he's gone. He's gone from a pointless war. And some of these people, and the thing is that there's rioting and protesting in Russia over this war. So most Russians don't even want this.
Exactly. It's their president,
Yeah.
who I happen to think has lost maybe a couple of marbles. But,
The world think that.
you can't just go into a country and say, "Oh, you know what? You were once part of Russia and the Soviet Union. I want that back. And before I leave my presidency, I'm going to make sure to get there." He already did it with Syria and Crimea. And Ukraine was one of the pieces in the puzzle. Unfortunately, Poland would be one of those pieces too. So that's something that I've noticed that they're definitely keeping an eye on, is what may happen to Poland in the future. But Ukrainians are definitely some of the bravest people I've ever seen in my life, I think. Other than people that I've met in the community myself and stuff, it takes a strong person to sit there and say, you know what, I'm not going to let them take my city. And they're fighting. Civilians are fighting. The president is fighting, and they're standing together as one. And that's how I relate to what me and you do here on the show, as far as spreading awareness to the community and trying to help where we can. It's just sticking together.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand, and it is a concern. I think a lot of the news people are saying like that Putin's plan next is to go after Poland.
Yeah.
So we need to stop this. I know NATO says that if Putin does start using nuclear weapons, that we're done. We're just going to wipe it. We're done. We're going to get rid of it. Like, they're going to involved. And once NATO gets involved, Russia's probably not going to exist. So that's a thing to remember. We can't take innocent lives, though, just because of one dude. So we got to figure it. So if somebody's a really good shot and figure out where he is, just hint, hint, cough, cough. We didn't tell you to do nothing.
Wait for the bounty first. Wait for the bounty before that.
But yeah, our hearts go out to everybody, and we want you to be safe and loved and cared for. And we feel sorry that you have to deal with this. And if we could do more, if we could be there, know that we would.
Absolutely. And the link again for that fund that's been created to help relocate Ukrainians that are part of the LGBTQ community to a safe place that accepts them and where they're safe. We will include that link in the show notes, and definitely give it a check out. If you can donate, even if it's $5, it'll help. $1 helps. Anything helps these people right now.
Yeah, like, share, follow, whatever. Do whatever you need to do.
Thank you for listening to Transforming with Us. You can like, follow, and share on all major platforms to keep up with all things trans and queer.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.